have 1 minute for your elevator pitch. I keep a timer. And then I have 20 minutes set for a timer for your entire presentation. And then there will be 20 minutes of Q&A. So let me set the timer. And when you say go, I go.
Good. So what is life like in a modern hospital these days? Life and death? You bet. Every single day. Roadblocks to care? All day long. Distractions for the busy physician? Countless. Writing antibiotic prescriptions? Of course. Life-saving. It's critical. And in today's medicine, nearly impossible.
There'll be no doubt that antibiotic prescribing is the cause of superbugs, and a lot of the hospital infections is the chaos of antibiotic prescribing. Antibiotic adjuvant is embedded in the electronic medical record, sophisticated learning algorithms to create order out of chaos, control resistant organisms, and prevent hospital-acquired infections. Antibiotic, I think that's it.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, let me start a new timer. I don't know why. I downloaded the new iOS and it's just not behaving. All right. So now, go ahead. You got 20 minutes. Take a seat.
Okay, my name is Dr. Robert Yancey. I'm an infectious disease specialist practicing in Janesville now for almost 25 years. I've been working in the field of antibiotic stewardship, we'll explain to you, which is systems to try to improve the systematic, or rather unsystematic, use of antibiotics in hospitals. Next slide, please. And really, this problem is getting out of hand. This is a recent study published where worldwide, within 35 years, resistant bacteria kill more people than cancer and automobile accidents. So we've got a lot of attention toward this, especially over the last couple of years. In this country, 2 years ago, there were 23,000 deaths due to resistant bacteria and 14,000 deaths due to another related complications caused by Difficile. This is a huge problem. Next. And another problem that adds to it is there's no new therapy for resistant superbugs that have come out since 1987. There's been rehashing of the same antibiotic classes, and that looks the way it's going to be for a while yet. Next slide. The cost of resistance worldwide is going to be $100 trillion by 2050, 35 years from now, 34 years from now. And what is the cause? The cause is antibiotic prescribing. I say the doctors inadvertently, because there's no way, it's not a coordinated process, it's chaotic, it's unplanned. That's the cause of resistance. Now, people like to blame agriculture, and they're certainly part of the problem, but the intense problem in the hospitals is a medical problem. But inversely, the good news is, ironically, is if this antibiotic prescribing were coordinated, we could control resistance. We can outsmart those and detect the resistance early. This is well known mathematically, it's been proven in small studies, but the difficulty is applying it systematically to the healthcare system. Next slide, please. Antibiotic stewardship is the approximately 15-year-old search for processes in the hospital to improve the patterns of antibiotic use, improve patient outcomes, lower antibiotic cost. Those are big goals. Next slide. But the problem is it's an overwhelming project. Over half the patients in the hospital are receiving antibiotics at one time. Having a pharmacist call up each doctor each time and look over everything critically is just not feasible. However, the government is mandating that hospitals have stewardship. These are a series of rules and regulations that have come out in the last couple of years, requiring hospitals and nursing homes, all pharmacies, all medical offices to have stewardship. Next slide. But the way stewardship is practiced now, it's not effective. As I just described to you, it's an overwhelming project, and it's not coordinated. What they do now is the pharmacist will call the doctor and talk to him. Often the pharmacist doesn't know as much about the problem as does the doctor, and it's just an unpleasant experience for everybody. They really end up, what they do is end up restricting antibiotics, which paradoxically makes the problem worse because it causes more resistance to those antibiotics that are used. I hope that makes sense to you. The next slide. So it is really difficult to do this for just one or two pharmacists in a hospital and a part-time infectious disease physician. All of these tasks that they're demanding that stewards should do. Next slide. The solution is antibiotic adjuvant, an IT solution embedded in the electronic medical record, where we would interface with the doctor while he's making his decisions to help him coordinate, help him know what the facts are, what are the resistance in the hospital, and what is the best drug for that moment, dose correctly for that condition. And that's possible with authoritative, adaptive, intelligent algorithms. So we are reading constantly what's going on in the hospital, and we're helping make sure we stay a step ahead of the resistant bacteria. And we can do that right now, we believe, 90% of antibiotic decisions. Next slide. And we call that Stewardship 2.0. That's an improvement over the first versions that were coming out. And Donna will post this. Next slide. One of the parts that I think is important, is hot nowadays, is data analytics. There's certainly a big data approach to this as we get more and more antibiotic regimens. And what is the best balance? What is the best way to handle resistance? What is the best way to handle a specific infection? And these types of data analytics are part of this process. I don't want to call it artificial intelligence, I would call it intelligent. But there is some learning to the algorithms. Next slide. Now physicians will like this because it makes them more efficient. I'll show you a prototype of this. It's a lot simpler than what, I don't know if you know much about electronic medical records, but they are a pain. They slow down doctors 30%. They hate them. And this will actually make it easier for the doctor. And that's why they like this, and they don't get called by the pharmacist. Next. Mrs. Bellman, sorry. We go back to that, Chuck, can you please?
I'm sorry.
Now, the recent IDSA guidelines, proposed guidelines suggest that the way to solve the problem is a system embedded in electronic medical record, but none of that exists. That's what we're going to do. And it is still the most effective way to control C. difficile and other resistant organisms. But these are things that came out of the stewardship guidelines just recently published, and that's what we're going to do, what they're suggesting. Next slide, please. Now, it's not just controlling resistance, it's actually improving patient outcome. This is a busy slide, it's on our website if you want to study this more. But the initial decision of antibiotics when the patient comes in the hospital has a huge effect. We can make the initial decision correct, and the patients on the top line duration in the hospital is much shorter. They get wrong antibiotics dosed incorrectly, they stay longer, have more complications. This is where we improve patient outcomes. Next slide, please. This is another one for people in septic shock. There's special dosing regimens that most doctors don't know about for septic shock. They would have no way to know about it, but once they click the septic shock button, then we show them those regimens. And the outcomes will be better, less complications, shorter length of stay. And these types of things have been shown in studies, but how to apply them systematically to hospitals for every patient that's advanced is what we want to do. Next slide. All right, that's the big problem. Let me show you the application the best we can here. This is not an ideal audiovisual system. Okay, so the doctor gets a list of his patients. So that's not showing, is it? Why is it not showing up? It doesn't show the screen.
Get it back on there. Let's go back on.
Well, I don't know what else to do with that.
You don't need to show it.
All right, well, what it does show how the doctor can quickly get the right answer in just a couple of clicks. That's the motion, the ease of what can be done with new medical records. And so this is our web address. And so now Tim, my partner, will discuss the financial aspects.
About all my slides in there in a group.
Yes.
Okay. You can go ahead and then just start with the, our team. My name is Tim Shanahan. Bob and I became acquainted about a year and a half ago. Believe it or not, over a discussion about surfing. Bob is a hardcore surfer, and I'm a wannabe. And in the process of talking about that, he discovered that I had some time on my hands. And he asked me to research this issue with him, and if I would be interested in being part of it. Dr. Yancey, who you just heard, is a pioneer of a guy. He is the first doctor in the state of Florida to treat AIDS patients without fear. He has published 2 definitive studies on antibiotic stewardship, and I believe the only random blinded study. He has installed antibiotic stewardship programs in various hospitals, and remains a pioneer in infectious disease control. Chuck Saponis acts as our chairman and has been the CPO of numerous tech companies and startups. That's me right there. I was in business in Ocala for many years and retired 2.5 years ago. Bob Masterson is in charge of our data security systems. He is our systems architect from South Florida. John Gumbs is an advisor to us from the University of Florida, where he is an associate dean of the College of Pharmacy and specializes in infectious disease work. The government has mandated this stewardship program. They're not really sure how to make it work, but sometimes industry lets us down. And they don't come to the table in time to help us. And the problem with infectious disease and antibiotic stewardship, or the lack of stewardship, is so great and so critical that they are now publishing numerous requirements, numerous papers, lots of regulations for all other, can you go back, all other facilities to adapt to these changes. And that is all hospitals, all nursing homes, all long-term care facilities, even doctors' offices. And they're saying that it's going to have to be done by the year 2020. What was so shocking to me was that it didn't exist, that there is virtually no antibiotic stewardship out there, which is why the problem is so severe. And the government has stepped in and said, look, you're going to have to start fixing this immediately, because if you don't, what is the government going to do? They're going to start holding the money. And hospitals, acute care facilities are not going to be able to fund their work. As far as the business case for this, certainly medicine is business. There's no doubt about that. Hospitals are a business. Software is a business. Physician education and selection guidelines are a business. And there's no reason why antibiotic stewardship can't be a business. There is no other stewardship software anywhere. Bob, I need that slide up. There's no other stewardship software anywhere that is adaptive to the existing electronic medical record systems in hospitals. And everything has to be done electronically per government mandates. I'm sure you bumped into this as even going to see your family physician now. Very, very little paper is allowed. The hospital, in order to abide by these new regulations, would have to be hiring ID or infectious disease pharmacists as well as part-time physicians. We know that that costs about $500,000 a year in an acute care facility, if you can find the people. There is a huge shortage of infectious disease physicians and infectious disease-related pharmacists now. So even if you could hire the people, they're not available. Bob had pointed out that one infection can cost the hospital $20,000. Okay, now these are infections that people didn't walk in with, right? They came in for something else, and they got these infections in the hospitals. Okay? What we're trying to do is provide a decision support mechanism that will help every physician who's writing a prescription, 90% of the prescriptions that they're going to write, so that we can avoid this sort of doomsday scenario that's been laid out by experts in the field. And we've also designed our software to work with the federal requirements. We've analyzed those requirements, we've seen what they've published, and we have built our software around that idea, that concept. And it is a true quality measure, which means that the administrative people who run these hospitals, who have to answer for the way their facilities perform, will have the data that they need in order to show that they can make improvements and make changes that are positive. This is our market. These are all of the places where the government says you're going to have stewardship. And it's going to have to be robust stewardship. Bob, can you go back to that, please? How many more minutes do I have?
One.
1 minute.
Thank you very much. If you can see the large number of facilities there, the size of our market, if I were to just tell you that we could work in the acute care facilities down to these government facilities, these hospitals, just this group, if we were to have our software in 10% of those at a selling price of $45,000 a year, which is the going rate for stewardship programs in their present form, that's $200 million annually. 10% market penetration is worth $200 million. Next. You can see here 50 to 75% of skilled nursing facilities currently don't meet the guidelines. It's not much better at acute care facilities. There's no doubt from these numbers alone that there's a huge, huge need. Bob, go ahead. Now, why will we survive where others might not? Well, first of all, Bob's been working on this a long, long time. We're well aware of what is out there in the market now, and nothing that exists from any other players comes close to what we're trying to do. So what we are going to do is we are going to take this software and we are going to partner with the people that are already in the space. We don't need to be a standalone business and try to change the world. What we want to do is change the world just a little bit here from Gainesville by becoming a partner with people in this space and reforming what they're doing, giving them the tools that they need to take it to their customers so that they can implement a program that truly works and functions. We have studied it. We need about $8 to $10 million to launch the program. We can build the beta app and the APIs to work with multiple electronic medical record systems. We think we could be in beta testing at 18 months from the receipt of this, given all the work we've already put in place. And we would expect to be able to work with strategic partners in approximately 2 years. And we think after the very first year, we would be profitable. We have a parallel development approach, long-term care facilities, your lower hanging fruit, way less complicated. And then, of course, the acute care facilities, which are more complicated but far more expensive to operate in. So we have a lower cost revenue model and a high cost revenue model, and we can build the higher cost model off the lower one. So it's like a stepping stone for us. This is our website. If you go to the website, you'll see a lot of information about antibiotic stewardship, and there are a number of white papers which Bob has published, which are part of that website, and they will truly illuminate the concepts and the struggles that are in this field now. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you.
We have some business cards. I don't know if you're allowed to take them, and maybe some rule about that, but they're right here on the corner of the table.
Do they taste good? Do they right, service drinks?
Right.
So-
Can it drive? Like my poodle.
All right, so Bob, you want to come on back up? Now's the opportunity for us to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming in and after. Not bad on that one.
So I'm going to set another timer. Actually, you still have 44 seconds. You can do anything you want.
Well, my dancing's not there.
All right, so I'm going to start a new timer. So you guys have some questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. So can you talk to me a little bit about your marketing plan, how you intend to make the market aware of the product, and ultimately how you intend to distribute it, and maybe even service it from the back end?
Yeah, what we plan to do is to approach the people that are already in the space. We feel like we can launch,
In the EMR space?
yes, well, and in the stewardship space.
Oh, sorry, got it.
And there's very few players in that space already, and most of their stuff is pretty rudimentary. So what we had planned to do was we have a model that's built, and our goal is to demonstrate it to the end users and generate excitement from them when they realize all of the benefits. We're going to sell to our customer's customer, okay? We're going to get them interested and excited about having this on board, and then we will take that information, that evidence, that plan to people in the space now. That's my timer, sorry. And sell them.
So the sales cycle, as I understand it, you're getting the end users excited about it, but they're not ultimately the one who writes the check.
They will not ultimately be the one that writes the check, no. I mean, they will write a check, but they won't write it to us. It will go to our partners.
Got it.
We're going to use a licensing kind of a system.
Perfect, excellent. So the second question I have is, you talked a little bit about the differentiation that you've got to keep competitors out. Is there anybody else already moving in this space from a software perspective and
I
stewardship?
just got back from the Washington conference